And that wasn't the whole thing. Like, it continues. Manley gained wider attention following a controversial ATF raid on his Baltimore home on November 21st, 2024. The pre-dawn raid involved heavily armed agents deploying flashbangs and pointing rifles at Manley and his family, including his wife and 3 children. Despite the aggressive operation, no illegal firearms were found, and the only item seized was his cell phone. Manley asserts he's a law-abiding citizen with no felony record and believes the raid may have been an intimidation tactic due to his vocal advocacy for gun rights, especially as a black man educating his community on firearms.
Of course I'm going to be under attack, and that's okay. I expected that, and like I said, we're going to keep fighting. The government is definitely they're not black 2A. They're definitely not pro-black 2A.
The incident left his family traumatized, their home damaged, and sparked significant discussion about ATF actions, with Manley raising funds for legal defense and repairs.
That is 110%. That is so crazy.
He also runs Mark Choppa TV, a YouTube channel with over 309,000 subscribers, where he shares firearms content and promotes unity and education. His work emphasizes empowering inner city communities, particularly black firearm owners, through knowledge and responsibility.
We're changing the lifestyle of our young brothers and sisters. Yeah. We're changing their mindset, and so it's important that we continue to come together like this.
The reasons behind the ATF targeting him remain unclear, with speculation ranging from an anonymous tip to potential government pushback against his activism.
We've been losing our children out here. There's been no representation of unity. There's been no representation of change for our youngest. There ain't no more Malcolm X. There ain't no more Huey P's.
You got Mark Choppa. You got Mark Choppa. Tell them.
When we talk about what's at stake, everything.
That's exactly how I feel. It could be either one of those things.
Unity is key. Remember that. 1, 2, 3. Unity is key.
Hey, shalom. First off, as always, I want to give infinite praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kodash. Of course, those are the true names of the Heavenly Father, in the name of the Only Begotten Son, in the name of the Holy Spirit. Double honors goes out to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and a sincere peace and salutation goes out to the elect. And real quick, as you can see the title of this video, and I played a little bit of it, ATF raids black, to a influencer's home and finds nothing. And this is from this guy, the civil rights lawyer. I believe he does, content on, kind of, exposing the, the corruption within the judicial system, man. And he gets into these, these different, I guess you could say, cases, where, some unlawful things, took place, and he just, he exposes it, but nonetheless, this portion of this piece right here is just this Jake, this incident that took place in Baltimore, Maryland. And as you can see, he's a 2A influencer. I'm not sure. I believe it's just an instructor, a gun, instructor. I'm pretty sure he has a wide variety of, different licenses, and, has the ability, as you can see, to carry, a lot of different, styles and types, of guns. And, what I wanted to pinpoint was just, the overall mindset, and you could kind of get the gist of, Jake's mindset, and, where, as what was mentioned, is being an activist. And he made a statement, ain't no more Malcolm X's, and, who else did he mention? I think it was Huey P. Newton, or, I don't know if he said Marcus Garvey, but, all of the, the Jakes, that we are, familiar with. And what, you so-called, black people, Latino people, Native American people, which your true nationality and, ethnicity is, you're an Israelite, but what you're going to find out is, and what you would think, being in, what is it, is April 2025, within the season and time now, and you putting your trust in the modern day sword, and thinking that that it's going to liberate you, man. Thinking that it's obviously a it's a weapon. It holds some type of power, but it's levels to things, man. And this guy found out, the ATF, when he raided his house because of whatever it may have been, an anonymous tip, whatever took place. What you found out is who truly got the blessing of the sword. This goes all the way back to the to the book of Genesis, and Isaac had two sons, and both of them received blessings. And Esau, when you get into Genesis the 25th chapter, one of the blessings that he was given was the blessing of the sword, man. Meaning the weaponry. Okay. He's the top man, with that, man, and he's gonna rule by it. Okay. And Jake found out, man, very, very violently, excuse me. And, they raided, so they got an anonymous tip. They raided Jake's house. They come in there just extremely disrespectful, man. And he kind of explains it. You can go back and watch the video. He explains it. They come in the house, dogs, shit all over the place. They throwing flashbangs, in there. This is early in the morning. Granted, nobody, went back to the spirit world, that day. But they showed that listen, man, the devil showed his horns and the capability that he has. And that he can, when the ATF is doing, this is on a federal level, when they coming up in your shit, ain't nobody gonna hold them accountable, man. Basically they just flex they muscle, and there ain't nothing that he can do about it. Okay. Now, where was your sword? Now, where was that gun at? Where was you? Where? And at that point, because he made a point, because he felt, just it was embarrassing. He felt less of a man, because of his lack in ability to protect his family. He said it was a various, different emotions, by him, by them running up in the shit, pretty much, man. And ultimately, there's been a pattern, with you Israelites, man. With the quote unquote activism, and really trying to portray yourself, as if, bro, you that guy, because you got a couple arms, because you up in arms. Okay, you look at this video now, like with these guns, man, they put spirits on Jake, man. They start thinking they invincible. They start thinking they can't be touched. All right. But guess what? They the Lord. That's why I had these scriptures, man. These scriptures pulled up. This is Psalms 33. I'm going to start at 16. I'm going to read all the way down. It says, "There is no king saved by the multitude of an host." It says, "A mighty man is not delivered by much strength." It says, "And horse is a vain thing for safety. Neither shall he deliver any by his great strength." Okay. It says, "Behold, the eye of the Lord is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. Our soul waiteth for the Lord. He is our help and our shield." It says, "For our heart will rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us according as we hope in thee." And the point was in 16 and 17, man. As it states, it says, "There's no king to save by the multitude of an host. A mighty man is not delivered by much strength." Okay, so the host, I mean, even if you look in the crowd, even if you had them, even if you had them right there to bring up arms, or to protect and to fight, all of you gonna fucking lose, man. Look at what you put your trust into. Here it is. Like I stated earlier, man, there's been a pattern of things, man, where really the Lord has put us in complete, really complete subjection, underneath our enemies. And he's consistently shown, like, hey, look, they're in the power seat, man. All right, they're in the position and have the authority, within this current season that we're living in. And if you think you're gonna buck up against that and gather arms and kind of push the rebellion in a sense where it's a this physical revolution that's going to take place, that by your means, okay, let me highlight that, okay, by your will, all right, you're gonna fucking lose. Okay, you're gonna lose miserably, man. All right. And it says, Psalms 44:6, it says, for I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. Okay, and this is Psalms 44:6, for I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword save me. But thou hast saved us from our enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us. For in the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever. Salah, man. Okay, so this is who we boast. This is who we supposed to trust in, believe in, okay, have faith in, man. This is who defends us, okay? Now, it's not to say that, you can't, obviously, you can get a gun, bro. Like you get your license, you do things lawfully. You can have it, but it's all about perception behind having these weapons, man. These things are not going to deliver you. These things are not going to save you, all right, from first and foremost the tribulation that's about to come, man. All right, but just overall, when you talk about liberation, when you talk about breaking the shackles of this the centuries, okay, of systematic oppression, that's come from, the opposition, the enemy, Esau, Edom. Your guns are not going to deliver you from that, man. Okay, only is Yahweh Shai, okay, the only begotten Son, okay, who was prophesied that within these end times were upon his the second return. He's the one that's going to deliver us from our enemies. Matter of fact, let me get that, man. That's Luke, the first chapter. Okay, Luke, the first chapter, because clearly this goddamn devil has got his foot on our neck, man, and he's shown you, and he continue to show Jake. When you actually watch that video, he felt like, he was like, man, I felt less of a man. I felt like I didn't have no power, and you didn't, as they went up in there and ransacked your shit. But just days or weeks, months prior to that situation or event taking place, what y'all out here flexing. Y'all out here on some big dog shit. Nah, man, it don't work like that, man. This is Luke chapter 1 and verse 68. It says, blessed be the Lord power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people. Okay, he hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. Okay, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. This is the point, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, okay, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, to remember his holy covenant. All right, so who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, his true name is Yahweh Shai Mashiach, okay, through his sacrifice, okay, through him giving up his life. He was the mediator, okay, to get us back into the Heavenly Father, man. All right, to make us back friends, the Redeemer. All right, he brought us back, okay, through that sacrifice, and he's going to usher in that new covenant. All right, which is what, man, going to perfect us, because that what entails of the new covenant is that the law, statutes, and commandments are going to be placed on our inward part, man. We're going to be perfected, okay, in the sight of the Lord, man. And the Lord is going to give us power, All right. And when you get into Revelation, plenty of other scriptures, the power that's going to be given unto his people, the elect, okay, of the nation of Israel, starting with, all right, is going to get power. It's going to be a sovereign, are going to tread and rule, all right, over our enemies. Okay, and it's not going to be done by a fucking AK-47, man, a fucking Kalashnikov. That's what it's called. Some semi-automatic weapon. It's not going to be the thing that's going to usher that in. All right, it's going to be the Lord, man. All right. So we out here fighting, but it's a spiritual war. This is a spiritual war that we fighting. All right, and these you niggas thinking that this right here is the way to go. Well, listen, you look, as the Lord said, if you put away that sword. Let me see if I can get it. Fuck yeah. This is it at 5:52, but this is it's cool. I think it was another one. But yeah, this is the context. This is when the Lord was being was being taken. This is the Lord was about to be given up. He was betrayed. Judas. When you read up, Judas had basically paid or was paid what he was paid, and then he went to go get Yahweh Shai. But this is the point. This is Matthew 26:52, and it says, and then said Yahweh Shai unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Okay, so understand, if you taking that sword up, man, bro, you're gonna perish by it. Okay, you toting the gun, you swinging around blades, and you living by it. You're gonna die by it, man. All right. So this ain't the way. The Yahweh Shai is the way, man. Okay, the Lord, believing and trusting and having faith in Him, man. And waiting upon Him, because He gonna rise up against the prey. Let me see. Rise, pray. That's in Zephaniah 3:8. It says, therefore, I can just read it right here. Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Lord, until the day that I rise up to the prey. For my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms, to pour upon them my indignation, even all my fierce anger. For all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Okay, we're supposed to be waiting and staying upon the Lord. And granted, this is you have the majority of our people, man. 2/3 of our people ultimately, ain't gonna get it. They gonna believe and trust in whatever delusion that the Lord, puts on them, to believe and trust in, ultimately. But this is just, a telltale sign, a teachable moment, because, a man with wisdom can clearly see, you watch, it's like, look, you despite what you're trying to do, the overall outcome of it was, you getting your door kicked in 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you being shown that you don't have no fucking power, man. All right. So, hey, the Lord is going to vindicate us, man. The Lord is going to give us power, give us strength, so we can subdue our enemies. It's not going to be by the way of the blessing, all right, that he gave Edom, Esau, all right. It's not going to be through up in arms, man. And so when you get to trusting in these things, you see what you get, okay. I'm gonna end it with this, Psalms 20:6. It says, and now know I that the Lord saveth his anointed. He will hear him from his holy heaven with the saving strength of his right hand. It says, some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Okay, it says, they are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save, Lord, let the King hear us. when we call. Okay, so some trust in chariots and some in horses. Okay, some trust in that in the bow and in the shield. All right. Some trust in what is it? You know, what did the what does it say? There's no king that's saved by the multitude of the hosts. You know, the mighty man is a mighty man is not delivered by much strength. So mighty men, you know, the host, you know, the king's host. All right, these horses, which the modern day horse, whether you know these vehicles or whatever type of vehicle, okay, within these chariots, you know, Jake get these armor plated vehicles and all this shit. And think that shit is gonna save him? No, nigga, it's something that can get through it. Trust and believe. So none of these things are going to deliver us and save us, man. It's believing in Yahweh Shem Yahushai, trusting Him, and really abiding by the instructions, okay, that He's given us, man. All right, the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding. That's what's going to be the stability of our times, man. All right, and if it's anything, when it comes to anything above our strength, to be able to handle, He's going to take care of it. All right, or give us the power to deal with it. All right, but this ain't it, and it's clear that it ain't. So with that, I'm going to give infinite praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Double honors goes out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and a sincere peace and salutation